Alright, this video is going to primarily go into pH calculations. For more discussion on what pH actually is, you can see another video, but this one's just more about the calculations. So these calculations all are dominated by these 6 equations, which you'll have on you to use. And we're just going to use the appropriate one. So here I'm given pH, I have to find pOH. The only equation that's going to be useful is this one. So they always have to add up to 14. So if your pH is 3, then your pH is going to be 10.6 because 10.6 and 3.4 equal 14. If it's 4.8, then it's going to be 9.2. Your pH, doesn't matter which one you start with, they together have to equal 14. If your pH is 11.2, then your pOH is 2.8. Now as far as figuring out if they're acidic, basic, or neutral, I tend to like to just look at the pH. And the idea is that a pH below 7 is acidic, above 7 is basic. So I don't even look at the pOH, I always just focus on the pH to help me figure it out. So the pH is 3.4, that's acidic. 9.2, basic. 11.2, basic. If it's 7, it's neutral, but it's very rare to be exactly 7. So one way to figure out if something's acidic, just find the pH and then look at that number. Alright, so here's something else. This is the H plus concentration, which is sort of the active ingredient in an acid. The higher the H plus concentration, the more acidic it is. And the more acidic it is, the lower the pH. Anyway, the way we calculate pH, it is the negative log of H plus. So your calculator should have a log button, and you would then type the log of 3.6 times 10 to the negative 4. Now you should be careful entering that. Typically you want to use the EE or EXP button, just 3.6 E negative 4, not the lowercase e, to enter that, because if you start using times 10 caret, you're more likely to get into trouble with not using parentheses and all that. So anyway, the log of 3.6 times 10 to the negative 4 is negative 3.44, but the negative of that is 3.44. So that's how you find the pH. And this number should always be close to this exponent. That's sort of what the log is. So 3.44 is relatively close to the negative of this exponent, I should say. So it's close to 4. So that is the pH. And then the pOH, once again, we just subtract from 14, and that will get us the pOH, 10.56. Again, I say, is this acidic or basic? I look at the pH, it's acidic. Alright, now I have the OH, I want to find the pOH. So I use this equation, it's pretty much the same thing. What is the log of 4.1 times 10 to the negative 5? And it's 4.39, at least the negative log is. So that's the pOH, I'll just use the log button. Again, this number is very close to that exponent, at least the positive part of it. And once I know the pOH, I can find the pH by subtracting it from 14. I get 9.61. And notice that this is above 7, so this is basic. Alright, now I have the pH, I want to find H+. So I use this equation. H plus is just 10 to the negative pH. So I plug 10 caret negative 3.2 into my calculator. I'm sorry, I'm just writing what you usually see on most calculators. So 10 to the negative 3.2, and you might want to put it in scientific notation. Your calculator may give you a slightly different version. This is 6.3 times 10 to the negative 4. You could also see it written as 0.00063, either way. And that's your H plus concentration. Obviously, since the pH is 3.2, this is acidic. And lastly, here's pOH. To find OH, you use this equation. Notice a lot of them are very similar. So 10 to the negative 9.1, and I get 7.94 times 10 to the negative 10. The pH I can get because I know it has to add up to 14. So this will be 4.9, which is acidic. Alright, one more round. The last thing is if you have H+, you can go directly to OH- using this equation. So it's just that H+, which is 4.9 times 10 to the negative 3, times OH always equals 1 times 10 to the negative 14. So to get OH, we'll divide both sides by 4.9 times 10 to the negative 3. So 1 e to the negative 14 divided by 4.9 e negative 3. And this is where if you don't use the proper way in your calculator, you might get a mistake. You should get 2.04 times 10 to the negative 12. If you got a different exponent there, it probably means you entered it into your calculator wrong. Now, is this acidic, basic, or neutral? I could calculate the pH with this number to do that, but another way to figure out if it's acidic or basic is to compare H plus to OH and say which one's bigger. this number is bigger than this number, not because of the 4.9, but because of the negative 3. 10 to the negative 3 is bigger than 10 to the negative 12. So there's more H+, and remember H+ is the active ingredient in an acid. So this is acidic. All right, now solve for H+ here. So again, 8.1 times 10 to the negative 12 times H+ equals 1 times 10 to the negative 14. That's the equation, so we'll just divide. So 1 times 10 to the negative 14 divided by 8.1 times 10 to the negative 12. And I get, again, depending on how you write it, in scientific notation it would be 1.23 times 10 to the negative 3. Or you could write it as 0.00123. Either way, this number is much bigger than this number. This number has like 11 zeros before you get a number. It's small. So the H+ is bigger, so once again it's an acid. So I know I went through those pretty quickly. A lot of it really just comes down to using your calculator appropriately. Again, using usually the 2 capital E's on your calculator. If it's a graphing calculator or a scientific calculator, just typing 1 times 10 to the negative 14, it should appear in your calculator just like this, 1e negative 14. That's how you do this properly. So until next time, I am Derek Genova. Have a delightful day.